Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Nerds of the Round Table. It has been quite a long time, my friends, but we are back, and we will be back every single week from now, giving you the news that you so desire, so crave, and just eat that crap up, because we want to give that to you. Anyway, so we got a very special episode for you this week. With Comic-Con happening in the past week, there has been a lot of news, a lot of trailers, a lot of leaks, stuff like that. So we are here today to talk to you about what we think about the trailers and what we think goes on. So how you doing today, gentlemen?
Good. How are you doing today, Luke?
Fantastic.
I'm all right. How are you doing?
Yeah, we are joined today actually by a new face. Mr. Aaron Bolio is here
How's it going,
to yell at us and tell us what he thinks and why we think everything is crap.
I review movies on my own show here. Roshan Goes Reviews. Shameless plug. And ironically, I'm going to be starting a sports talk show with Jeff Sylvia within the next month or so. Oh. So we have an sports and nerds. I have a lot of interests.
Interesting.
But since this pertains to movies, I figured I should be here. Especially, I'm a gigantic Batman fan, and I'm a somewhat big Superman fan, so I felt like I had to chime in my 2 cents at least tonight. So yeah, I'm excited.
Well, speaking of that, we're going to segue right into our first trailer. We're going to get right into the discussion. Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice recently premiered its second trailer, which simultaneously caused every nerd in the world to have a heart attack. It was an absolutely wonderful trailer. I think it gave us a fantastic look at what the movie's going to be like, what we can expect, what goes on, and it just gave us some really cool scenes of Bruce Wayne running into dust clouds, because that was an awesome scene. So what do you guys think? What was your impressions of the trailer?
I mean, I was already hyped, and then this came out, and I was just blown away. It's just so cool. I thought that the Batman was really good, like the costume. I mean, we already saw it, but just reaffirming that.
Cool.
Now, how do you guys like the? Because I know a lot of the Batman movies that have come out already, especially the ones with Christopher Nolan, have been with Christian Bale. How do you feel as Ben Affleck as a new Batman now?
I ironically am one of the people who I was actually kind of supportive of him. I mean, I think I was a part of the bandwagon, like, screw Ben Affleck, I don't want him in this movie. The more I looked at him, the more, and you know what, even though Daredevil, the movie, was horrendous, I rewatched some scenes from that, and I was like, I could kind of see him as Batman if there's competent writing and direction in this. So That's not what scared me. Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor is what I'm making me nervous, and I'm trying to keep my expectations for this movie low because, Green Lantern was horrible, and I actually liked Man of Steel, but I'm very, very much aware of its flaws. So I want this to be a really good movie, but I'm not going to go in thinking it's going to be the greatest thing ever. Warner Brothers has been kind of flaky on this, and which is a shame because I'm a big DC fan.
Yeah, I think Honestly, Batman's one of my favorite things. I think they're finally doing Batman right because they're not giving him rubber, they're not giving him latex, they're not giving him plating, they're giving him his comic book form, which is like cloth kind of, armor, and he looks like a superhero, which is kind of awesome because most, superhero movies have been afraid to do the whole superhero look. They've been trying to get away from that, trying to make it realistic and all that kind of stuff. But I think that Batfleck's costume is what shows me that they're saying we can do comic books, but we can make it realistic. Because the whole thing about Batman is the reason that he is Batman, is not because he was bit by a radioactive bat. It's because he tries to strike fear into the hearts of people, which that's what his costume is about. So instead of saying like, I'm giving you armor plating and stuff like that, the costume is exactly what it's supposed to be, striking fear in the hearts of criminals. And, I gotta say, against everyone who I ever talked to, I was supportive of Batfleck from the beginning, just because I looked at his chin and I was like, that is the Batman chin.
It's kind of like the Crimson Chin from Fairly. It's like, that's good.
He's a competent actor too. I mean, and he looks like Bruce Wayne, especially in this trailer. He looks like Bruce Wayne in this trailer.
Yeah, I don't know why everyone was saying that he doesn't look like him, and I was just like, from the beginning, I was like, I see it.
I'm gonna tell you what, it's gonna be a big. I think it's gonna be a big because don't get me wrong, I liked Christian Bale, but I can't do his voice.
Exactly.
That was
no. You forgot the lips.
People, all right, that was the stupidest. Where is he? I think he's miles ahead of Val Kilmer and George Clooney, but still, that was such a stupid.
Actually, I mean,
nothing is
everyone
worse
hates
than
on
George Clooney.
But I think if Clooney
He was a good Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, I think if he was in a movie with competent writing that wasn't a child's like sale product, then it would totally he would have been a good
That's
Batman.
literally
Yeah,
what that movie was.
yeah, exactly. It was to sell toys. And I think that if he was cast nowadays, I think like if he was cast in the role that Ben Affleck is currently playing, if you had Clooney back then playing, Batfleck now, I think he would have done a fantastic job and he would have been a perfect Batman. But I think the writing of that movie was absolutely horrible, and Schumacher's a joke.
He is a joke.
Yeah.
The Schneider, I'm mixed on. That was one of the things I've been very mixed on. I think I've had various feelings. I think Tim Burton's probably the best director for it so far for live action Batman.
Because he gets that dark.
Even though I think The Dark Knight was the best one, but my problem with Nolan was I think he took it too seriously.
Yeah.
And my thing with Zack Snyder is he's made some of the most beautiful visual works I've ever seen, but he kind of lacks on story and character development. Like, I like 300. You're not going to mistake 300 for another movie, but I mean, I couldn't give a crap whether Leonidas or whatever.
Well, because the problem is that's what everyone's gripe with Man of Steel was. As you said, I personally liked Man of Steel, not because of the story. Because look, how many times have we heard Superman's story? He's an alien. He gets raised by the parents. He fights something bigger than him. He comes out as I'm a hero. We've heard that a million times. You don't go to see Man of Steel for the story. You go to see it to watch Superman be Superman. And that's what I felt the movie did well, is because of Zack Snyder's visuals and all that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah,
that's what I like about it.
A big criticism Man of Steel got too was, I think some people call it disaster porn. We're just making a big disaster movie. Everything's blowing up. Well, I think clearly in the Batman vs. Superman trailer that we're probably watching in a little bit, right?
Yeah.
It's clear that disaster was part of the grand plan for this movie, and as well as that, two Kryptonians are fighting. They're two gods fighting on Earth. That's gonna happen.
Yes.
And I've seen some grisly crap happen in Superman movies, in Superman comics. I don't know why everyone acted like this was such a
big deal.
Big deal. Did you see New York at the end of the Avengers? Devastated.
Oh, yeah.
A building didn't split in half, but...
Well, that's what Daredevil was about. Daredevil was picking up the pieces so that's why I think that this is going to do well, because everyone loved Daredevil because it was like, what happens to the little guy when all the gods are fighting? And, this movie is saying, what happens to everyone else? What happens to Wayne Tech? What happens to all this kind of stuff? And so, you can see, we actually have the clip I found online you can see the comparison of the scenes together. Somebody mashed up the scene from Man of Steel where Zod gets his laser vision, and where you see Bruce Wayne from the Batman vs. Superman trailer, which we actually have the clip in the studio, if you wanted to roll that. So it's very cool to see the comparison of it. So you see the whole side of Superman and Zod fighting, which, as he said, that's the two gods facing off against each other, and all you care about is, it's the two gods. But then when you see like Bruce Wayne staring at his tower being destroyed, it's like, what happens to the man?
There's no difference to him between Zod and Superman. That's basically it. He sees them all as a menace, and that's going to be a big catalyst in this movie.
Oh yeah, big time. So I'm excited to see that because I am a big fan of the whole Batman's righteous path kind of thing, and how Superman sees Batman as just another murderous vigilante, and Batman sees Superman as just an alien on Ruckus. So it's going to be interesting to see the dynamic between the two of them.
Another thing to touch on is a lot of the Justice League cartoons were really dark when it comes to like portraying a lot of the superheroes. I'm not really like into comics. I don't really read comics, but from what I've heard, they're really dark. So I thought that was like I've heard a lot of fans of the comics say that they really like the Justice League because they're so dark and they follow the comic more than like a lot of the movies do.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. I'm interested in seeing how they work with some of the other DC superheroes, like Flash, Cyborg. They've announced all these people, and I'm interested to see what they're doing with Aquaman, because just the way he looks, is going to tell me, they're trying to like totally revamp Aquaman so everyone doesn't think he sucks. Which honestly, if you look at him in the comics, he doesn't actually suck that much.
He does
like they're
not. He's
trying-
amazing.
They're trying too hard in the opposite direction now, I think, with Aquaman, because everyone's like, oh, Aquaman's lame, and anyone who actually knows Aquaman
knows he's
he's actually pretty
he's
awesome.
pretty sweet.
They're like, oh, we have to really amp up Aquaman, and I think they might have turned it up a little too much, but I'm just basing that off of
But we haven't
screenshots.
seen it yet, so that's why I'm interested in seeing, and I'm also interested in seeing what they do with like Cyborg and all that kind of stuff, with how they put him together. But anyways, segueing also, so that was a very interesting trailer. I'm very excited to see what happens with it. We have Batman vs Superman coming out. What is it?
2016.
2016. They haven't announced a month yet. So we'll definitely be keeping along with every news of that. So segueing, the next very important trailer that came out in Comic-Con wasn't actually intentionally supposed to be on the internet, but now it is. That is the Suicide Squad. Originally, the trailer was only intended for audiences in Hall H. However, as it got leaked online, the director, whose name is escaping me currently, what was his name?
I'm not sure. I haven't been following. I didn't realize they're making the Suicide Squad movie until I saw the Jared Leto picture that came out, and I was like, oh, Suicide Squad, that sounds like a good idea. I don't know what to think about it right now.
Well, so anyway, so it was meant to be only for the Hall H audiences. However, everyone leaked it because, of course, everyone wanted to see Jared Leto's Joker. So they all leaked it online. Unfortunately, the director thought that was such a horrible thing, and he was like, oh, not cool. I can't believe you did that. Well, because you did that, I want you to see the work in its true glory, so here's the actual trailer. So he then posted it online, and we got to see it in the full 1440p resolution. So anyways, impressions on that trailer. Just first off, couldn't care less about anything else that happened in the trailer besides the Joker. And I think that's a good thing, and I think that's a bad thing.
I disagree with that.
Really?
Yeah. I'm a big fan of Arrow. I think they're on season 3 right now. I haven't been able to
Season
watch
4.
it. Season 4.
They're starting season 4 soon, and if you saw that too, go look up. They announced a new costume for him. The first episode of season 4 is called Green Arrow, and his new costume is very, very reminiscent of the comics. So any Arrow fans, be very excited. Go online, check it out. We'll post it on our Facebook page.
Would it happen to be green?
Yes, it is. It is green.
Greener, anyway.
But no, going off of that though, huge fan of Arrow. I haven't got up to season 3 yet. But basically, what's going on is I know they've had the Suicide Squad, especially in the latest season.
Yep.
And they have like Amanda Waller. They have all the other people, Deadshot. I think they did show Harley Quinn.
She was meant to be a bigger part of it, but they told her not. They told the Guggenheim. They said because Guggenheim originally wanted to premiere Harley Quinn, but they told Guggenheim no because we have her coming out in the movie that we're planning. So don't do that.
But other than that, though, I mean, I don't really read a lot of comics or anything, but just from Arrow and knowing that Suicide Squad had a trailer, but I was looking at IMDb and I saw one of their posters that came out, and I'm like, oh my God, this is perfect. And Deadshot in Arrow is actually probably one of my favorite villains in the show. And when I saw that Will Smith is playing Deadshot,
I'm mixed on that.
When he was cast, I was thoroughly upset actually when he was cast as Deadshot. I was like, I mean, I'm all for like, let's not turn this into a race war or anything like that, but it's not just because he's black. It's just because Deadshot as a character.
He's too charismatic.
Yeah, exactly.
He should be a hero. If they put him as a hero, I wouldn't care. Even if it was a white hero,
Deadshot is just care. Like
Not Deadshot.
Deadshot's very, very serious and dark, and he's like, I shoot to kill. That's all that kind of stuff. And I mean, they could cast, Will Smith could play a guy like that. I don't know, but I don't think he will. Just knowing Will Smith, they probably cast it as Will Smith.
He would have made an interesting Joker. I would have said that.
Will Smith.
With Suicide Squad, though, with this trailer, I commented on it immediately, too, when I saw it online. I went, okay, maybe a couple things I don't like, maybe a couple things I like, but I never felt so neutral about something in my entire life.
Tell me about it.
It just was so unimpactful one way or another, but I'll tell you my two problems I think I have with it was, one, other than Deadshot and like maybe Harley Quinn and stuff, the designs didn't remind me of any major villains. Is Killer Croc in that? Because
he's in it.
All right, because I saw a scaly-looking guy in a coat, and I was like, "Is that supposed to be Killer Croc?"
He needs to not be wearing a shirt, and then everyone would say, If he wasn't wearing a shirt, then everyone would say, "Oh, that's Killer Croc." But they made him like teenage edgy.
And the only scene you could even tell that Will Smith was Deadshot was when he actually had the mask on, and that was the only scene I could actually tell. So it was like, all right, so, and that kind of went with what we said earlier was, try to make the costume look like the comic you don't have to make it exact. You can make it a little realistic, but
make it to a point.
To a degree.
When people go to see comic book movies, they go to see the characters that they love adapted onto the screen.
And
they don't want to see characters that we just have to assume is Deadshot or assume is like, Killer Croc. We want to know and say, holy crap, that's Killer Croc, and holy crap, that's, Harley Quinn. But
and the other thing too is like with Harley Quinn and the Joker, particularly in this, especially with the tattoos of Jared Leto. But my biggest criticism about those, and like with Harley Quinn, like the puddin collar, I'm like, all right, this guy clearly wants to do something new and creative with the designs, but isn't creative enough to do it. Like, Joker's getting the tattoo. First thing you think of, oh, ha ha ha. Okay, we'll put that on him. But my other thing is, I think it's too early for Suicide Squad. See, if I was DC, how I would have planned this was, I would have had this is my problem with Batman vs Superman too, is they're throwing Wonder Woman in for no reason when she should have her own movie first. But I would have, a Wonder Woman movie, Batman movie, Superman, Batman vs Superman, Aquaman, Green Lantern, etc., Justice League, and then have the villains from those previous movies, like the Joker and Harley Quinn from Batman, and maybe Deadshot might have made various appearances. I don't know what they do with him, but
probably Arrow.
Have like a reverse Justice League movie where you had the villains already in the other movies, failures, ending up in prison now, and then I don't know. They could do kind of an anti-Avengers where at the end of every movie leading up to the Avengers, after the
Waller
credits,
going up to him.
instead of Fury, it's Waller saying we have an assignment, and that would have been much better. We could learn about and meet the characters as bad guys first, and then get to see them as good guys in the new movie.
Yeah.
In Arrow, they really did that. At first, like when they mentioned Amanda Waller's name, I had no clue who it was until I had to look it up because, especially when they mentioned like, oh, I'm Slade Wilson, or okay, this guy's Floyd Lawton or something. I didn't know who they were because I don't really read the comics.
Yeah, it's an interesting idea.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I think that would have been much better, because the problem is with the Suicide Squad that the reason that everyone loves the Suicide Squad in the comics is because you take these major villains and turning them into good guys. So the problem is that when you see this movie, they're not villains, they're heroes. So they're just anti-heroes. And so most people want to recognize them as villains, and most people want to recognize them and say, oh, that's cool. You see Killer Croc actually like doing something good, but instead you only see them as heroes. So I think it'd be weird to see them as villains at any point in the DC.
At first.
Yeah.
I think Joker is probably going to be a villain in this.
He's probably the main.
Probably
I think he's the main villain.
I think he's going to be similar to Assault on Arkham. Where I hadn't seen it, but I got the premise of like he's trying to take Harley Quinn away from the squad. But
yeah, he was. Troy. What was it? Troy Baker.
Yeah, Troy Baker.
Did an excellent job as Joker in that movie. I did see it. So basically, what that movie was is it was, both. It was the Suicide Squad, Batman, and Joker. And it was great. The Suicide Squad had a great chemistry for what it had. And honestly, when I heard they were making a Suicide Squad movie, I said, why not go with the Suicide Squad that's in the movie there? Because it was like,
I know.
Yeah, it was people that are recognizable but not recognizable. So you could have thrown those people in and still saved the major villains. So I don't like how they used major villains for the Suicide Squad, because now that's it. You can't use them in anything else.
And now it
You're
feels
done.
like especially with the Wonder Woman thing too, because apparently she's getting her own movie after Batman versus Superman.
Exactly.
I'm not sure if that's supposed to be an origin movie or not, but it feels like they're trying to rush out Justice League so badly that they don't care if they're telling stories out of order now.
Because Marvel got a huge head start in DC.
They did.
DC tried to start up a multiverse like 300 times with each different movie that
so
aren't
many
connected.
reboots.
Yeah, exactly. So many reboots. So now they're like, oh, we'll have they called it the DC Extended Universe, which I'm sorry, DC, that's the dumbest thing ever. Call it the Cinematic Universe. I don't care how similar it sounds to Marvel. Everyone knows you're not copying off Marvel. Really, you gotta be that sensitive about it, you know? Like, just call it the Cinematic Universe. Because I'm gonna call it the Cinematic Universe, and I think everyone else should call it the Cinematic Universe too.
Another thing too is Suicide Squad. To us, it's really recognizable. DC fans, it's really recognizable. But to your average moviegoer, the Suicide Squad isn't recognizable. Let alone Deadshot and other individual members of Suicide Squad.
Probably Harley Quinn is mostly what people.
And that was the thing, with Guardians of the Galaxy, that was nobody knew about what that was except for hardcore Marvel fans. And then they made the movie about that, but they didn't start with that. They built their way up to it. So I feel like if you're just going to throw Suicide Squad at people it's not going to really attract a lot of people.
And I got to say too, something I just got to compare to Marvel versus DC in that aspect is I like Marvel because they cast for the role. You know what I mean? Is they don't cast the actor, they cast the role. And most of the time that means casting relatively unknown actors or relatively unpopular actors because they fit the role so well. Like remember the big uproar when Liam Hemsworth didn't get the role of Thor and his brother Chris did because his brother showed up to the audition to help out Liam? And everyone was so in uproar over that because they were like, who the heck is this guy? He's the brother of somebody famous? And now Chris Hemsworth is one of the most famous people in Hollywood.
He's completely overshadowed Liam.
Yeah, exactly. Now Liam is nothing. And so that's, Marvel cast for the role. DC in these movies, which I mean is a downfall of DC not having their own production studio, them just being a subsidiary of Warner Brothers, they cast big name actors, which I mean we're talking about how Will Smith is Deadshot. I don't think that was a coincidence. I think they wrote for the actor. I think they wrote the role of Deadshot saying, oh, well, Will Smith has to be Deadshot, so let's write it for him, instead of writing for the comic book character and then subsequently casting the actor. And so that's my problem, is that's why you see these big names in DC movies, and sometimes it doesn't, jump so well.
To be fair, Michael Caine, I think, was the best Alfred I've seen in live action, and I mean,
yes,
Morgan Freeman was made to be Lucius Fox, but
Yeah.
I mean, Ryan Reynolds was you can just go down the list of Amy Adams is an okay Lois Lane, but I don't think she would. I think probably could have gotten better.
Yeah. Well, she's all right. I mean,
In the last
I
couple
don't hate
movies,
her. I like her.
yeah.
In the last couple movies, Lois had no role at all. She was just there.
Yeah.
And also, going back to Harley Quinn and the Joker and Suicide Squad, at first when I was watching the trailer, it was just like, oh, that's Harley Quinn. And then at the end, you see Joker, and I'm just like,
Who are these
that's
other people?
Joker.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was kind of weird. Well, Suicide Squad. It is coming out. When is it coming out? 2016 also? I
Yeah,
believe?
they haven't given
Yes.
dates for either of those. They just
Yeah.
kind of hinted, hey,
So,
next year.
Keep a watch out for it. Let us know your reaction to Jared Leto as the Joker, by the way. Go watch the trailer. Let us know the reaction. Have a discussion with us on YouTube, on the comments section, or on our Facebook page, facebook.com/Nerds of the Roundtable Show. We are always open to discussion, so please let us know. So segueing, you did mention Ryan Reynolds as Green Lantern, which we all thought was an absolutely awful movie, and also Ryan Reynolds hasn't had a great track record with being a superhero as the Deadpool in X-Men Origins.
that was
So we were all kind of skeptical when they said he was coming back as Deadpool, because we all said, well, he would be the perfect Deadpool, but what they did there was horrible. And then Days of Future Past happened. Everything's brand new, clean slate. We are all so excited because the costume they released was perfect. And now, at San Diego Comic-Con 2015, they released a very, very special leaked trailer of Deadpool. So now, fortunately, between the two of us, Noah and I were the only ones out of the group who saw the leaked trailer. And personally, I have to say, I am so excited for that movie. I just watching the trailer. It was perfect. Like, same magnifique. It was everything Deadpool, the swearing, the violence, the guns, the name calling.
The collateral shot, like
oh god,
everything.
it was so
Yes,
funny. Just the
definitely.
trailer made me die laughing. Like, especially his interactions with Weasel. At the end of the trailer, they do make a couple interactions with Weasel. TJ, played by T.J. Miller in this movie. He has interactions with Colossus, Negasonic Teenage Warhead. Which, as in the trailer, they made a funny joke, like Ryan Reynolds, he's asked, like, oh, what's your name? She goes, Negasonic Teenage Warhead. And he goes, Negasonic Teenage, what the, and then he says, that is the greatest name ever. And he was so animated, and his eyes were animated too, so it looked like the comics, his eyes are different, kind of stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
And it was absolutely perfect in my opinion. So if you can find the leak online, I know most people are like, oh, I don't want to watch a leak. It's crappy quality. Some guy filmed it with a cell phone. Because Ryan Reynolds came out and said we won't be getting an actual trailer for about 3 weeks. Definitely recommend to go online and check that out. It was perfect. Yeah.
I mean, in Origins, I didn't see this leaked trailer, but I never really thought Ryan Reynolds was the problem. It was clear from the get-go it was the writing, especially at the end when Wolverine had to fight, X, the Deadpool. And they're like, oh, it looks like they shut you up. And I just slammed. I was like, all right, so you broke the first rule of Deadpool.
Yep.
Way to go, writers.
Yeah.
It wasn't Ryan Reynolds' decision to do that.
Yeah. Well, anyways, do check out that Deadpool trailer online if you can. I don't want to talk about it too much for fear of Fox slapping me with the band hammer. There is one more thing I'd like to talk about today. We do have a little bit of time left. Currently, it is Thursday. What is the date? The 16th?
Yes.
Yeah. It is Thursday, July 16th. Tomorrow is the international release of Ant-Man. I am personally so excited for this movie, but I have to say I've never been upset with Marvel before, but they did a really crappy job of advertising this movie, and I think it didn't really get the hype it deserved. Ant-Man / Giant Man / Goliath / Yellow Jacket / Hank Pym has been one of my favorite superheroes of all time since I've been a young boy reading the Avengers comics, just how he created Ultron and all this kind of stuff. And even Scott Lang, I've been reading the new, Marvel Scott Lang comics, and I've died laughing so many times. So I gotta say, with Paul Rudd, Michael Douglas, and whoever the guy is who's playing Yellow Jacket, it's an all-star cast. It looks like an absolutely fantastic movie. Edgar Wright is one of my favorite directors of all time, doing Shaun of the Dead, the Cornetto trilogy, all that kind of stuff. So I'm really excited to see what he does with one of my favorite superheroes. So it doesn't get the hype it's deserved because Marvel did a crappy job campaigning it. But folks, I'm just going to tell you right now, go see it. I will post an official review tomorrow. I will be seeing it. So if you go on our Facebook page at, once again, facebook.com/Nerds of the Roundtable Show, you can see it there. But however, go see it. Build the hype with yourselves because I think that's what Marvel's relying on, is they're relying on the fans to build the hype this time. But go check it out. I think it's going to be great. Personally, me.
It's gonna feel more like a horror movie to me because I have a huge phobia of ants. Yeah. So, and I know he doesn't turn into an ant, but I've seen trailers and there are ants in it. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And be sure to see the
That's my
Rochango's
catch.
review of Ant-Man. Shameless advertising.
Shameless advertising.
Shameless advertising.
Check out his channel at Rochango's Reviews.
Rochango Media is the channel, but you'll find it really easily by putting Rochango's Reviews.
All right.
Yeah, on YouTube, and
Cool.
it's here on LATV as well. So.
Yep. So I think Ant-Man's going to be an absolutely fantastic movie. I'm very excited to see it. Marvel has not let me down before, and so far the reviews for it have been ecstatic. However, it's always, that's the critic reviews, and sometimes the critic reviews differ greatly from the fan reviews. And, most of the Marvel nerds haven't seen it yet, so we'll see what happens when the Marvel nerds see it. The premiere was tonight, so, I haven't seen any reviews yet, but I'm excited to read it and see it for myself. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us today on Nerds of the Round Table. We're very happy to be back. We will be bringing you an episode every single Friday from here on out. So go to facebook.com/Nerds of the Roundtable Show to join in the discussion, check out a post, see news as it happens, and just talk to any one of us. Post some fan mail, hate mail, whatever you want. You want to say I look ugly, you want to say Jeremy's a chump,
Jeremy's a chump.
Yep. Hashtag
Dasso's a chump.
we are trending this on Twitter. Currently trending hashtag Dassau is a chump. DASSAUS is a chump. So help us to popularize that so everyone can
with
know
an
how much he
ampersand
is.
for the A.
So thank you very much for joining us, everybody. My name is Lucas Cardwell, and this has been Nerds of the Round Table, Episode 4.
Where's episode 3?